Hey everybody, it's David. Welcome. MSOM 601 coming to you today. Excuse me. Coming to you today from the top deck of the Celebrity Equinox. And just a lovely day. I'm somewhere west of Cuba. I can see Cuba in the horizon there. I just want to spin this around a little bit. This is kind of cool. Um, on the top deck on these ships, they always try and figure out what to do with them and what to put up here, because again, dead space is not money making space for cruise ships. And so what they've done here on Celebrity, they actually put grass, and I mean there are several hundred yards of grass up here where people just come lay out. They play golf. They have bocce. They do croquet. Right behind me is the hot glass show that they do up here, and really it's just about differentiation. And I just finished shooting a video for a marketing class that I'm teaching right now in the undergrad program, and really differentiation is really key for anybody in business today. And so if you think about problem solving, if you will, I mean one of the things that I'm sure Celebrity did, they probably had several different options as they looked at this and going forward, and they thought that developing this green spot up here was kind of cool. I don't understand why. It's like, okay, so you get on the ship, so you're off the land, but you make the ship look like the land. Go figure. But I'm sure they had much more market research than my small brain can figure out today. All right, enough of that. All right, so let's talk about Lesson 2 review and then Lesson 3 preview. The first discussion question this week talked about the difference between strategic thinking and critical thinking. And this is one that I really want you to look at the response that I have in the discussion board. The discussion boards, by the way, I usually put some general comments, and then I talk about specifically your post in it. But I found a blog a while back of someone who did a very good job of explaining this, I thought, the difference between strategic and critical thinking. And so I won't go into a lot of detail now on that, but just make sure that you take a look at that, because I think it does a really good job of explaining some of the differences in that. Also, again, I posted this past week in the announcement section. If you didn't see it, is a great way to look at compare and contrast papers. And what you're going to find throughout this degree program is you're going to be asked to compare and contrast 2 or 3 different things. And so that's always a really good approach to use. Some of the suggestions that you'll find in that announcement that I had. So hopefully that will be some help for you. Okay. The second discussion this week talked about strengths, and I don't want to trump what they may be doing in talent management coming up in that talent management class that you'll probably take. But I'm a big strengths fan, and to me. Today, we do things backwards in business. We focus way too much on weaknesses. Think about the last performance review that you may have had at your company, and they list all the things that you're good at, and then they list 2 or 3 things that you need some help doing, okay? So where do you focus all your time going forward? Well, they put together a development plan for you to make your weaknesses better. How's that working? So this is really contra to that. What it says is that what we need to do as managers and leaders today is focus on your strengths. Take those things that you're naturally good at and develop those versus trying to make some of the things that you're not as good at better. And so this has really been my mantra for the last few years. As a matter of fact, when my daughter was introduced me to her husband today, first thing I had him do was take a Strength Finders assessment. You can be thankful if you're a girl or a guy that you're not my son-in-law or my daughter, right? But that's one of the things I think is very important, because you look at those things and you begin to understand what your strengths are. Now, one of the things that Buckingham talks about, and I don't know if he does it in this video or not, but really strengths has a different definition than you may historically think. Strengths is not what you're good at, but it's what makes you strong. And so it's those things that when you finish doing them, you go, oh man, that was cool. I really like that. I really feel refreshed and invigorated. So it's not what you're good at, it's what makes you strong. If you're interested, I'm going to post a few more things for Buckingham today. Again, I don't want to turn you into a Buckingham follower unless you really want to be, because I really like his stuff. But I'll post a few more things in the announcement so that you'll be able to take a look at those. All right? So the key part in that discussion was just strengths and critical thinking. Those are the things that you can rely on with people to help solve problems going forward. All right. The assignment this week talked about the six characters. I had you pick 6 characters from Amina's story and talk about their critical thinking styles. As I mentioned last week, the book actually, Now You're Thinking, gives those critical thinking styles for key people. If you didn't read that, then you're going to get that wrong. I hope you read that. But the key message coming out of that is, I firmly believe if there was not people with different critical thinking styles, I'm not sure Amina would be alive today. You begin to look at the critical thinking styles of Captain Nadu, of Kevin Gerard, significantly different than Aunt Janet, right? Significantly different than Deanna Dolan, right? And aren't you glad that they were, okay? So key message with that is different thinking styles one isn't better than the other, they're just different. And it takes all different types of people surrounded to solve a problem to be able to do that. And so I hope you take away some messages for your companies, your professional life, your personal life, through that will help you understand that don't just pack your team with everybody who thinks the same way. Make sure that you have some diversity of thought, some diversity of action on those. All right? So that was pretty much lesson 2. Lesson 3 really begins to talk a little bit about problem solving. And the discussion starts off with the importance that defining the problem has for solving a problem. Now, I know in today's environment, in today's hurry-up world, we're all very, very focused on getting to the solution. But what happens today is we blow by defining the problem. We all think we know what the problem is, right? So we just want to go, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? And so we all immediately go to the solutions. Well, the key part in problem solving for me is making sure that you clearly define the problem. Because if you don't define the problem properly, then you're solving to the wrong thing, right? So you're going to end up wasting a lot of time. You're going to end up building a solution to a problem that doesn't exist, right? And then not addressing where the problem actually is. And so I'll be interested to see some of the details you have on this. There's actually an Albert Einstein quote I'll throw in there for you that I think really addresses this pretty well. All right, that's discussion 1. Discussion 2 introduces you to a technique, and some of you who may be in Six Sigma may have seen this or may actually use it, but it's called the is not technique. And this is a great technique that I've used in the past to really narrow down where the problem source is. Because what you're going to be doing is you're going to be going through this process, and I apologize a little bit for the video. I pulled it off YouTube. It's the best one that I've seen on is not. Maybe a little bit hard to follow, maybe a little grainy. I think you have to blow it up on your screen to make sure you can look at it. But I would appreciate you all looking at this and having some really good dialogue on its effectiveness, potential effectiveness in the industry that you are in. Okay? And then finally this week, the application is my favorite in this class. It's about the RED model, okay? Now, there are hundreds of problem-solving models that are out there. Is not is one of those that you can use. But the RED model is one that I wanted to use in this class because it's relatively simple to follow. Now, what will happen a lot in your classes is there may be someone who teaches a problem-solving class, another professor who will go through and give you 50 different problem-solving models. Well, quite frankly, if they give you 50, you're not going to be good at any of them because you're going to be learning a new one each week. So rather than giving you 50, I just wanted to give you one, all right? And so RED is to me, a very simple one that you can apply in your life, in your business, that I think will be something you can carry with you. So here's a hint. Throughout the rest of this course, if there are things that you have in the class or in a discussion question where you believe the RED model could be applied, apply it. Because when you do that, I get a smile on my face, I do the happy dance and all the other stuff because I'm saying, hey, they get it. They understand that RED can be used. Sometimes I'll ask you specifically to apply the RED model. Sometimes I won't. But just because I'm not asking you to apply the RED model doesn't mean I don't want you to apply it. All right? I'm wanting to see, do they get it? Can they understand how to use that and how to apply it? So enough of that. What is the RED model? Well, the RED model is a very simple approach to solving a problem. And it starts with R in RED, and that means recognize assumptions. We all bring baggage, assumptions, thoughts into problem solving. We all will look at it maybe a different way. I'll say that's a problem because of this. And you may say, no, that's a problem because of this. Well, we all have those assumptions that we bring in. And unless we, operating as a team or as an individual, recognize what those assumptions are, we're not going to be able to face the problem possibly the right way. And so the first thing that we all have to do, if you're sitting around a table and you're part of a team that's supposed to develop a new plan to do X, well, the first thing that I would do on that is to sit around the table and go, okay, what do we all think coming in here? What are our assumptions that we're making coming in, just to get those on the table? Because if we don't recognize what those are going to be hidden, and it's going to be the lens through which we're going to be looking at solving that problem. And it could be different for you, different for me. And so first, R, in red, recognize assumptions. The second one is evaluate arguments. Now, we're all going to have different ideas on how to approach whatever that problem is. And we need to be able to effectively and accurately and honestly evaluate all those arguments. Because our assumptions that we make, bringing them into that problem solving, will impact how we develop an argument. And so we need to make sure that we're very, very focused on evaluating the arguments, not only your arguments, but other people on the team's arguments. And then finally, the D in red is draw conclusions. And that's the end of the funnel. Again, what we try to do today in our haste to solve a problem is we want to go immediately to draw conclusions, right? I mean, we don't want to spend any time recognizing the assumptions. We don't want to spend any time evaluating the arguments. We want to get to the conclusion so that we can move on to the next activity. Well, that doesn't work very effectively. Trust me, I've done it that way, and it doesn't work, all right? And so, but at some point in time, after you recognize what the assumptions are and you evaluate all the arguments and alternatives that are there, you're going to have to draw some conclusions. And that's the point that you do that in the red model. So, just wanted to make sure that I introduced you to red this week, and also wanted to make sure that you understand how much I love the red model. And again, if you want to see me do the happy dance, I'm not going to do it on a video. You wouldn't want to see that. Just make sure that you begin to apply that throughout the course. All right. I hope you all have a great week. I'm going to be back in town here shortly, but again, I'm totally accessible if you need me. Have a great week. Chat with you soon. Study hard and apply the red model. Thanks.